This news update is brought to you by...
It's gonna be a big blue summer.
The Big Blue Summer Celebration with Flow is here. Make yours unforgettable. Sign up for big bundle savings. Build your essential bundle and save big money. Blow out the candles on Barbados' 50th and Flow's first Big Blue birthday celebration. To win big prizes including $10,000 in cash. Big-time sports coverage at home or on the go with Flow TV, like the Olympic Games in Rio and the new home of Premier League football. Watch it all with big data and big style on the fastest 4G network. The world's biggest sporting events this summer are all on Flow. The Big Blue Summer Celebration is here, and Flow is your official partner. This is how we flow.
It's gonna be a big blue summer. Get ready to go. This is how we flow. We wear them baby blue for the summer. Get ready to go. This is how we flow.
This is the Barbados Today afternoon news update for Wednesday, July 13th. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Elton Dacosta Watson of Lewis Gap, Green Hill, St. Michael is expected to appear in court today on the charges of serious bodily harm. That's in connection to police investigations into the wounding of Delroy Scarlett of Storey Gap, Codrington, St. Michael. The 51-year-old Scarlett is now at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital undergoing treatment for his wounds. The public is being told that they must take into consideration the cost of utility services when discussing the level of service rendered. That advice last night from the Director of Utility Regulation at the Fair Trading Commission at the second and final public consultation on proposed standards of service for the Barbados Water Authority.
We would not want to do it in a vacuum, and we're not doing it in a vacuum, recognizing that this is a cash-strapped utility. But at the same time, we have to begin to set minimum standards because the two go hand in hand. You can trade off service with price. And the Commission is very cognizant of that, especially in a monopolistic environment. So the idea for us is to look at standards first. We've made that determination to look at standards first. And the next step would be to look at tariffs.
Meanwhile, Chairperson of the FTC, Sandra Seeley, explained the purpose of the consultations.
The utility is going to be given the opportunity to respond to these standards as well. So if they put a case to the Commission that, okay, for us to meet this standard, this equipment will have to be installed and the costs associated with it, then the Commission would evaluate that and make a call as to whether, okay, do we think that this standard is appropriate or is something that we want to go to, or maybe we can hold on that for this year and wait a couple more years before we deal with this standard or adjust the standard accordingly so that it does not, as you suggested, affect the tariffs. Because if for them to meet the standard, they have to spend money and it incurs a cost, then at the end of the day, that comes back around to you, the consumer.
And while the meetings have ended, the public has until this weekend to share their comments on the FTC's website. Attorney for Banks Holdings Limited, Barry Gale QC, is describing as an exercise in public relations the reaction of Trinidad-based Ansa McCall to the latest decision by the Court of Appeal amid the ongoing legal wrangling between the two companies. A statement from Ansa McCall Barbados says it is pleased with the court's decision to restore the injunction granted by Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson, which restrains BHL from performing or otherwise giving effect to certain preferential shareholder rights in favor of its current majority shareholders, Ambev SLU. The statement added that the effect of the court's judgment is to make it clear that the matter is not to be taken lightly when there is strong evidence of a threat to the fundamental principle that shareholders in the same class should be treated equally. But Gale says it is unlikely that a trial would take place, particularly given the fact that BHL is now almost completely owned by Ambev, in whose favor the challenged rights created by the debt security agreements are vested. He also pointed out that the appeal was fought mainly on the question of legal costs, in that Ansa McCall was seeking to have the decision of the Chief Justice overturned to seek to recover some of their legal costs.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
I love it.
Hey, I'm Red Plastic Bag, mentor of the Barbados Today Crop Over Champion competition. What I like about this competition is the fact that it gives you, the public, a voice in 3 major competitions for crop over: Pickety Crop, Junior Monarch, and Soca Royale. Go to Barbados Today's Facebook page, click on the tab for the competition you want to vote for, then hit vote on your favorite video. It's as simple as that. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Special thanks to our sponsors, Flow, Capital Media HD, CGI, the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited, and the NCF.
In news from the region, President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Warren Smith, is leading a delegation to St. Lucia for talks with the new government. Today's meeting will focus mainly on the presentation of the government's main objectives and priorities and how best the CDB can support them. St. Lucia is one of the original members of the CDB, having joined in 1970. Over in Trinidad and Tobago, a High Court judge is expected to rule next month in the election petitions case brought by the main opposition United National Congress. The UNC is challenging the results of 6 constituencies in last September's general elections. We get more in this report from TV6 News.
Justice Amore said she didn't want the case to extend into the new law term. Now, if the judgment goes in favor of the UNC, there will be a by-election in 5 constituencies. That's Toko Sangre, 2022, St. Joseph, San Fernando West, and Moruga Tableland. The UNC had originally attempted to file a case against the La Joque Total Paro seat, but it came too late and was thrown out. Both parties will have the option to appeal whatever the ruling, but the locals' appeal court will have the final say, as the Privy Council cannot rule on election matters. So, to recap the arguments, the attorney for the UNC, Queen's Counsel Timothy Straker, has called the election a shambles held under corrupt practices. And, he says, by extending the voting times by 1 hour, it was, quote, shocking, ill-judged, and an ill-considered approach, especially since, he says, one's right to vote doesn't give a person the right to vote any time he or she chooses. Now, the PNM's attorney Douglas Mendez called the election petition itself embarrassing. He brought evidence which showed that even if every person who voted after 6 p.m. in the disputed constituencies voted for the People's Partnership, the PNM still would have won.
And finally, David Cameron has officially stepped down as UK Prime Minister. He was given a standing ovation by Conservative MPs after his final Prime Minister's questions earlier today. Cameron will go to Buckingham Palace to officially tender his resignation to the Queen, and he told MPs he will miss the roar of the crowd.
Questions to the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. Other than one meeting this afternoon with Her Majesty the Queen, the diary for the rest of my day is remarkably light.
I'm told that there are lots of leadership roles out there at the moment. There's the England football team. There's Top Gear. There's even across the big pond a role that needs filling.
I'm beginning to admire his tenacity. He is reminding me of the Black Knight in Monty Python's Holy Grail. He's been kicked so many times, but he says, keep going, it's only a flesh wound. I admire that. I'm glad he mentions emails, because actually I've got an email as well. I got this, I'm not making this up, I promise. I got this on the 16th of September 2015 from someone called Judith, and she said this: please, please keep dignity and not triumphalism during the first PMQs today with Jeremy Corbyn. And she gave this reason. She said, because Tom Watson, who may oust Jeremy Corbyn, is a very different kettle of fish. He's experienced, organised, and far more dangerous in the long term. She goes on, so sensible, sober, polite answers to Mr. Corbyn. Let him create his own party disunity. After this is over, I've got to find Judith and find out what on earth happens next.
I'd also like him to pass on my thanks to his mum for her advice about ties and suits and songs. It's extremely kind of her, and I'd be grateful if he'd pass that on to her personally.
The Home Secretary Theresa May succeeds Cameron as Prime Minister, and she will hold her own meeting with the Queen today. That's the news. There's more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Or you can tune in to Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM for more news. I am Maricla Williams. Have a good afternoon.